In this life, dear brothers and sisters, there are many people who are searching for the meaning of their life. But when we search for the meaning of our lives in the wrong direction or in the wrong places, we multiply our sorrows. And when you are able to find the meaning of your life, it gives you confidence, it gives you fulfillment, it gives you peace of mind, and above all, it endows you with joy. So today I'll be talking about how to discover really the meaning of your life. The first step to take if you want to discover the meaning of your life is to understand that you are composite. To get to know who you are. You cannot discover the meaning of your life if you don't know who you are. And the basic way to know who you are is to understand that you are composite. In Genesis chapter 2 from verse 6 and 7, we understand that when God created us, we were just nothing until He breathed into us the breath of life. And that was the beginning of our existence. So basically, without God, we are nothing. But the first thing I like us to take note of here is the facticity of our composite nature. That God created us first as just ordinary clay, and then He breathed into us His spirit, and that's what we call the soul. So every human person is made up of body and soul. That's what I mean by being composite. Our body may be trapped in space and time. Our body may be controlled by space and time, but our soul, because our soul is the imprint of God in us, our soul has transcendental power. It cannot be trapped in space and time. And that's why you may be seated here, but you are present in another place. You may be present physically here, but mentally you are actually absent. I shared with some of my friends, in one last time I had a funeral mass, that some persons may be here. If I'm going to preach a long homily and they're already hungry, they want to take their dinner. If I preach a long homily, they may be physically present because they want to respect me, but mentally they are already absent. So the first step we have to take in order to discover the meaning of our lives is to understand that we are composite. The second step is to also understand that everything around us, the material possessions, the created things, all of them, including our life, is temporal. Every other thing created by God is temporal. Everything has expiration date. Our life will expire someday. That or which date, we don't know. But as for whether our life will expire, surely we will expire, because if God wanted us to live here forever, He could have created us not with skin, but with iron or steel. But God made us with His flesh because He wanted us to expire someday. He wanted us to come to an end so that we can return to Him. We are like people who are on pilgrimage. We are pilgrims, and here is just temporal. So if we understand that everything around us is temporal, it will help us to also to understand that there is something greater than the temporal that our soul is yearning for. And that is the union that should be between the divine and the human. That will be the third step. The third step in discovering the meaning of life is to know that the material things that are around us, they cannot satisfy us. The reason is because they are temporal. That's the first reason. The second reason is because as composite, these material things cannot penetrate our soul because they are only on the material level. And our soul is immaterial. Our soul is beyond material. Our soul is more on the transcendental nature. So, no matter what we eat or drink, no matter what we smoke, whatever we take in, they will never satisfy our internal self, because our real internal self is our soul. And the material things we eat, they can only nourish our body, but they cannot give us the utmost, ultimate, basic, fundamental nourishment. And this is what brings me to the fourth one. The only thing that can give us the nourishment and the satisfaction that our souls are yearning for is our relationship with God. St. Augustine says that, Lord, you have made us for yourself, and our souls are restless until they rest in you. This rest may not be taken, just eschatologically, because eternal life, as we know, begins from here. John chapter 17, verse 3. So the fact, in this rest is just like what we see, when Jesus said, come to me, all you who are burdened, and I will give you rest. Again, this is not just eschatological. It is a sort of rejuvenation and renewal. So the meaning of life can only be discovered at the moment when we surrender ourselves into a relationship, intimate relationship with God. That is the only time we can have meaning in our life. So a meaningful life is a life lived in relationship with God. And the meaningless life is a life lived when we are dependent only on material things. So, dear brothers and sisters, I believe strongly that happiness does not consist in material things, but happiness consists in our relationship with God. Material things can give us pleasures, but pleasure cannot penetrate our soul. As I said, we are composite, and our body can be taken care of by the material things we eat, but that which animates us, which is our soul, can only be taken care of through relationship with God. The next question may be, how can we increase this relationship with God? Through prayers, because communication is so powerful. Communication is relationship. So the more we communicate with God, the more we increase our chances of having intimate relationship with Him. And this communication, encompasses or includes prayers. It includes reflections in the sacred scriptures. The next thing that can also help in this relationship is to begin to see the face of Christ in the face of the poor. Because in Matthew chapter 25, Jesus categorically said, whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers and sisters, that you do unto me. So through charity, you can also increase your chances of having a good relationship with God. And being sacramental also is very important. How often you go to confession, the sacrament of reconciliation, will also determine your level of relationship with God. So the more we are sacramental, especially the sacrament of confession and the sacrament of Holy Eucharist, how often do you receive Jesus? One of the fruits of constant reception of the Holy Eucharist is that it reduces or diminishes that inclination to commit sin, which we call concupiscence. So there are so many ways we can increase our relationship with God, listening to Him always, and also, as I said, having a good relationship with the people around us. It will help us a lot. If you have benefited from the sharing, please do well to share this video, and God bless you. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube. Thank you.